Hello everybody, my name is Evan, founder and CEO of Gentatech. In this video, we are going to be going over exactly how to use and set up 1Password from beginning to the end. So this is going to cover creating an account all the way to using the application to generate passwords, autofill, using it in your browser, using the software, and everything in between. It's going to be a full wire-to-wire tutorial. With that said, I want to get a couple of things out of the way before we begin. First and foremost, I apologize for the sound quality. We're working on getting that ironed out. Second, in this video, you're going to see, and you'll understand what this is later, the secret key to my 1Password. This is for demo purposes only. Please never let your secret key out of your site. That is one of the essential ways to get into your 1Password. You can actually get locked out if you lose it as well. So don't let that happen. And last but not least, on the left side here, you will see Zoho Mail. When it comes to a business use case, please don't utilize something like Zoho Mail as the sole provider for your email. Use something like Microsoft or Google Workspace if need be. We utilize Zoho Mail specifically for demos like this. I just don't want anybody to see that and get the wrong idea. And let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that we're going to do, it sounds a little weird, but the first thing that we're going to do is actually go ahead and download the 1Password application to your operating system, whether that be Windows, Mac, or Linux, and then head over to your extensions and download the 1Password extension. So that'll be there. And again, this is before we set up any account. Just be easier to follow along with that way, okay? We're going to do this tutorial based off of an individual account. There's some additional options when it comes to business. We'll cover those in later videos, but you can just go ahead and click try free for 14 days. You'll reach this page here. You will put in your name as it says and your email address, okay? And then you will receive an authentication code you can see here on the left side to that email, okay? Go ahead and copy that authentication code and post it in. And at that point, you will be prompted to create your emergency kit. Well, before then, you may be prompted to enter in payment details. 1Password does have a cool option to just set the account up for free and skip adding payment details. You should see that a little bit below as you're following along. If you're going to use it for the long term, obviously go ahead and put your info in there. If you just want to fly right through it, feel free to hit that. At that point, you will be prompted to create your secret key. Now, if you are in a situation where you're getting a pop-up from the 1Password application with your secret key in there, actually go ahead and exit out of that at this point, okay? We just want to create the secret key. You will land on a page that looks just like this here, all right? And what you're looking at is your emergency kit, okay? This is what you're going to utilize to be able to log into 1Password at any point moving forward. I'm not going to tell you where to save this. I will tell you where not to save it. Okay, do not save this on any type of cloud platform if it's unencrypted. Do not save this just on your local computer file system, especially if you're not running any AV or EDR on there. I'm not going to tell you what to do with it, but this is your pride and joy. Your secret key and your password are going to be your way in to 1Password. Okay, so keep that in mind. After you generate your secret key, you may be prompted to go ahead and finally log into 1Password. So we're going to skip that. All right. And you'll see a login page that looks similar. In this login flow, it may already have your email populated for you, but I'm going to go ahead and click continue. Okay. And this is what you'll see in the future. You may only see password there right now, depending on how things are looking for you. So what I'm going to do is go to my secret key. Okay. I'm going to copy this. All right. And I'm going to paste that in there. And I'm going to put my password in. Okay. And now I have authenticated to 1Password, and you can see here I am. Okay. Important to note here, you do not use 1Password through 1Password.com. 1Password is utilized through their apps. That's going to be the application sitting on your operating system and the extension that is sitting up in your browser. With that said, there are some important things that get done inside of this software, inside of the browser, I should say, especially if it's a business account. But we're going to look at a few of those things. So let's click Manage Account. And here you can see we can change our email. We can regenerate our secret key. We can change our password. Perhaps most importantly, this is where we will set up multi-factor authentication by hitting Manage Two-Factor Authentication, okay? You can also save another iteration of your emergency kit. It'll have the same exact secret key if you choose that. See where you're logged in at. A lot of cool things like that, okay? You can also view Vault items here. Again, this is loading up a web app. This is not where you want to use this, okay? You do not want to use 1Password through that, all right? So again, keep in mind, this is really going to be for the administration of an account in general, all right? You're probably going to want to generate some recovery codes and print those out, maybe a safety deposit box, something like that. Keep those somewhere very safe, okay? Again, that was your name and then manage account. You can also use set up another device, and we'll actually use that through the app itself. Now, when it comes to the business version of this, there's some cool things that you can do. It has deeper integrations. There's a few that you can select here, I'm sure. But you can integrate with a whole bunch of things. You can do some advanced policies as far as choosing which domains you can share to, locking it down via IP address, and some cool things that we'll cover in the future. But for now, just keep in mind the admin console through the browser is not where we will use the system. So where do we use the system? Well, let's go ahead and open up the 1Password application that you should have pre-downloaded. We'll click sign in, and then we'll be prompted to put our information in here. So I'll go ahead and put this email in. Okay. We're going to get prompted for a secret key. I'm going to go back over here, copy the secret key. Then I'm going to put in my password. Okay. And we are in. All right, so now we are inside of 1Password. And again, in this demo, we're going to cover everything: how to add items, how to migrate your passwords from your other system over to 1Password, and everything in between. Before we do that, let's just take a quick peek around here and kind of see everything we have going on, okay? If you click right over your name here, all right, you'll see that you can manage accounts and you can set up another device. And we'll cover this later, but you can also go to settings, okay? These top three here will also allow you to go to settings. Let's go ahead and hop in our settings. We want to check a few things. Mainly, for general, we want to open 1Password on startup. This should be what you're utilizing for all of your authentication, pretty much, period. So it's nice to have that opened on startup. You can match your system appearance. Dark mode is what most people like. I like dark mode, so it matches that. Okay. And under security, you can unlock this using Windows Hello. This is blacked out for me. So Windows Hello through 1Password is done via your TPM chip. Okay. And I don't know if this is actually available on the personal account. I'm not too sure. If you're seeing this and this is how this will work, if you check this and then check use TPM, it goes to your TPM on your actual device itself, and that's where the credentials are stored. So you can unlock this using the PIN, the same PIN that you use for your computer, which is really, really good. Okay. If you do choose this, you will also see another option that chooses how often you'll have to verify using your password, even though you're unlocking with Windows Hello. And you can, 5, 10, 15 days, 30, whatever the case may be, you'll see that as well. You can also choose to lock 1Password in the computer locks. Check that if it's not, and then you can utilize 1Password to prevent your device from sleeping, and everything else we're not really going to worry about right now, okay? All items will show you everything within your 1Password. Okay, favorites will obviously show your favorites. Watchtower is a pretty cool system that they have that just looks at everything in your 1Password and lets you know some recommendations. If you're missing recovery codes, as it says here, if you have weak passwords, so that's a pretty cool option there as well. And then we're just going to look at vaults. We'll explain this a little bit, but right now we see a personal vault. We can create a new one. And what vaults are going to do is act as a logical separation for your passwords. So we will go ahead and create another vault. We can see business vault and personal vault. Okay. It's going to be a general overview of what that looks like. Now, most of you are going to be moving data from, and by data, I mean your passwords, from probably your browser, whether that be Edge or Chrome. So let's go ahead and do that first before we get into how to utilize 1Password in terms of adding things and logging in. So click Migrate Data if you're seeing that. If not, you can click New Item, and then you should always see here where it says Migrate Data into 1Password as a recommendation. First of all, check Do Not Ask Me About Migration next time, or so you'll see it every time, and then go ahead and follow the recommendation. I'm using Edge, so we're going to click Edge. Now we're going to continue inside of our browser, okay? And we're automatically logged in, okay? So it just tells you what to do here. We're going to follow along. We're going to go ahead and go to our settings, all right? And that's going to be here. We're going to go to passwords and autofill, okay? We're going to click on password manager. All right, and then we're going to click on these three dots to export our passwords here. Okay, we're going to export passwords. All right. Now, what you see in there will vary person to person. If you've been using the password manager in your browser for a long time, okay, you will see a lot of passwords there. All right. If not, then obviously you won't. I put just 2 fake passwords here, and we'll actually look at the actual passwords when we get it over. So now that we've exported, we're going to go back to, where are we at here? Our tab, click continue. We're going to drop all these in our personal vault. We can also select business. We're going to do personal for now. We're going to click continue, and we're just going to upload that file, okay? And then we're going to click continue, all right? Now, we're going to have to map all of these to something specific, okay? So where it says confirm item types here, all right, as you can see, these are logins, okay? So that's fine. We'll click continue. Now that we've decided that those are logins, we have to map the label. For example, this section here that is pulling from our password manager in Microsoft Edge, we have to give it a name. So you will just map this to title. Title and name mean the same thing, okay? The URL, we want to map this to website, okay? This is the most important one. Make sure you do that, all right? The username, all right, we can just map that to username, easy enough. And of course, the password, we want to map to password, okay? We're not going to map this note anywhere now. We can just map it to notes. That's fine, actually. And then we'll click continue. If you see more things, just map based on the best of your ability. Again, what you're doing here is you're pulling the CSV file of your current passwords, and you're telling 1Password what each of those labels really mean, okay? So we're going to click continue. All right. And now we've just imported over. Okay. We'll exit out of this. We'll dismiss this. Now, if we look over here to 1Password, you can see that those actually did import. All right. And now we have all of our passwords from our browser password manager into 1Password. Before we look at this, we want to do a couple other things in our browser. We want to go back to our settings. We want to go back to password manager. Okay, and we want to go to our settings in password manager and make sure that we are turning off the autofill functionality. What this will do is allow 1Password to take over as the thing that is suggesting passwords autofilling, so you won't have a conflict, and makes it much easier to use. Kind of unusable actually if you don't, because you have 2 different systems trying to do the same thing. All right, so let me go ahead and X out of everything here that we don't need. Okay, great. So that's where we're at. All right. So now let's look at how to navigate through 1Password. We'll look at adding items and some of the things that 1Password can do for you. Okay. Well, first of all, if we go to Watchtower, like I said, we can see that we have 3 weak passwords here. All right. If we look at our items, we can actually see that when we click on each individual item as well. Okay. So 1Password will look at your password and give you a score on how weak or strong it is. Now, if we look at this password here, it's just test2, obviously very weak. Nothing you ever want to do, okay? Now, when we're using 1Password properly, we do not generate the password. 1Password will generate it for us, okay? So let's look at how to add an item. So we're going to click New Item, and this may change depending on when you're watching this. Just always click on Show More to give your full list of options here, okay? Now, if you're adding a password, that's what most people think they're doing. You think, okay, I'll just click Password. Well, not really. Usually people utilize this for authentication to, applications, your bank, Twitter, Zoom, Facebook, whatever you're using, your company software. And at that case, we want to go ahead and click Login because it's going to be a complete login, including your username. Okay. So right here, we'll have the title, and that will reference how it will show in the list of things. So let's say this is going to be for, the company website. We'll just click that, okay? Your username will be exactly what it sounds like, okay? We'll just do Evan L for the username. And now when we click on password here, we can always just accept that, or we can go to create new password and have a bit of control over that password itself, all right? You can choose the amount of characters. You can choose if you have symbols included or not, okay? You can also choose the password type, memorable password, PIN code. I suggest always using memorable password if you can, okay? Hike this up to 6. Go to capitalize. It does take just one extra step. Usually you would just click use and you'd be good to go. Unfortunately, they don't give an option for special characters and numbers when you utilize this. So just type in a few numbers and a special character. Okay. Now, the reason I recommend using this option is because if you ever do have to manually type in your password, it's so much easier to type in a string of different words than it is to type in a string of completely random characters. This does not put security at risk at all. This password is going to be just as strong as a bunch of randomly generated characters. So I do recommend doing that. Okay. This right here is the most important section in terms of autofilling and having a nice, easy verification flow. Okay. Authentication flow, I should say. You need to put the website in here that you're going to be authenticating to. All right. So let's say this was going to be, a Google account. I would type in google.com and click save. And then if they can, they have a bunch of logos cache, and if they detect it, they'll match it for you. But what that's doing is when we hop over to our extension, this is telling 1Password to utilize these credentials for that particular website. So a lot of people will not have autofill working, and they'll just miss the fact that they didn't include the website there. Very important section, okay? In addition to that, let's say we want to add some more things, because often there are additional things when it comes to logins, right? Maybe we have backup codes or multi-factor authentication or anything like that. If we click on edit and we click on add more, okay, there's a bunch of different things that we can add. We can include security questions, okay? And we can choose a security question, or we can type one in and drop the answer right there, okay? We can do one-time password. This is going to be a multi-factor authentication here. We can just, usually what you'll do is you will scan the QR code. So, let's say we're in the setup flow of setting something up, and we see, we get to when it's something, multi-factor authentication, we get to the area where the QR code on the screen. If we have 1Password open and click this, it will usually scan from that. And then you just paste that there and you're good to go. We'll do that a little bit later, and I'll kind of show you how that works. Okay. We can also add files, which are really important for backup codes, things of that nature. We can also add, what else is important? Obviously, email addresses, URLs, texts. What I like to do is to be able to add a section, okay? So let's say we are doing backup codes. So I'll do a section, and I'll name the section backup codes, and I'll add a field in that section, okay? And I'll attach a file of the backup codes, we'll say. And you can see now we have it kind of nice and organized, all right? So again, that'll be edit, and then add more to see some additional options you can add to, okay? So that's going to be how you add an item. Now, there's plenty of different items that you can add. One thing I want to make sure you understand is that you have a bunch of suggested boxes here. When you add an item, you don't have to fill all this information out for this to work, okay? So like if we're adding a credit card, for example, this top information here is all of the info that will be auto-filled for you when you're logging in, all right? This is just for you. Yourself, okay? So we can actually exit out all this stuff if we want to and not even include it, all right? Keep that in mind. Okay, we'll discard there. Another thing we looked at a little bit earlier are vaults, all right? Again, vaults are logical separations of your passwords, okay? So right now we're in all items, so we see everything. If we click on personal, this is our personal vault. If we click on business, we see our business vault. Also important to remember that whatever vault you click on is a vault that you're working out of by default, right, when you're utilizing 1Password. So I clicked on the business vault. If I click on new item, okay, and I click to add an item, you can see down here, right, in this bottom right corner that I'm in the business vault, okay? Likewise, if I go to the personal vault and click new item and click add item, you can see I'm in the personal vault. And last but not least, if you happen to be in the all items vault, you'll always default to your personal when you go to log in, when you go to create an item, you can see there, but you can always change that from there. You're going to make a mistake where you are not working out of the proper vault. If that happens, you can just click on the item, all right? Click on these three dots and you can click move, okay? And then you can just move that to another vault, just like so. We go to business and we see that there. We go to personal and that is now gone, okay? You also have the option to duplicate things if need be. Another thing that you can do here is share, okay? Now, sharing is, so I want to take a moment here. When you're sharing something, and this is being done in a business way, there's some things that should be configured in your admin platform on 1Password through your browser, such as what domains you can share to. some default things like that need to be set first. But we're doing this on a personal account here, so we'll just kind of show you what that looks like, okay? So we'll click share, all right, and then you can choose how long the link will be valid for, an hour, a day, 7, 14, or 30, okay? And then you can choose that this can only be viewed one time, all right? You also can choose who can see this. You're always going to want to check only some people. You'll enter the email address here of who can view that. You'll copy the link, and then you'll manually send them that link. 1Password is not going to email them for you. Keep that in mind. So just, copy that link and send them that link. Okay. What this is going to do is going to require them to verify their email address before they can view the content of the password that you're sharing, which you're going to want to do. Again, in a business sense, you're only going to be able to share to pre-selected domains, which gives you some good control, especially if you have employees. So just keep that in mind there. All right. So that's how the 1Password application itself will work. Now, there's a couple parts moving here. Okay, that's fine. Our passwords are stored, but this is not really helping us sign into anything. All right. And if we go over to our browser, that is the job of the extension. The 1Password extension is what is actually going to help you sign into something. If you do not have the 1Password extension, but you have the 1Password app, autofill is not going to be an option. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right. So let's look at a few things here. Okay. If we click on this password section, okay, and if we go over to our 1Password app, you can see this website says my.1password.com, and that's the website that we're actually on right now. If we click on this, this is going to recommend the information that is within our 1Password account, okay? And it's working on this icon here. So right now, it's opened, right? We just closed it. Now we can open it. Now we can close it. So this is going to control if this 1Password extension is actually active or not. But since we open it and it is, we will get the recommendation here. And we'll click, and we will automatically be signed in to whatever we need to be signed into, okay? Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So now let's look and see what this looks like if we're setting something up. All right. Let's go to Zoom. Let's just say we're going to go ahead and create a brand new account. We can see here that there's no items to suggest or to show. Okay. So what we will do is go ahead and just put in our email. Okay. We'll do sales@GentaTech Hub. Oh, sorry. I'll just switch off my keyboard there. My bad. At GentaTechHub.com. Okay. Now we can press continue, or we can click save in 1Password. Okay. If you hit save in 1Password, this is going to automatically populate the website, automatically populate the name, okay, and then automatically populate your username based off of what you're doing. And you can click save, but we don't have a password to save yet. So we'll go ahead and click continue. And 1Password hasn't detected a password section, so it hasn't recommended one quite yet, okay? Let's go over to Zoom here and verify. All right. So now we're going to get to the account creation, and 1Password will actually go ahead and recommend a password and also recommend to save this whole login into 1Password. So let's just go ahead and type this info in here. Now we can see where it says use suggested passwords. You can always just click yes. I recommend you don't do that. Click on this icon here to the bottom right. Okay. Now we have a bit more control over how this is being suggested to us, how strong we want the password, all that good stuff like that. I'll just keep the password here for now, 32 characters on whatever it suggests, and we'll click autofill. Now, after we've clicked autofill, okay, well, password's not matching our requirements. It looks like it actually is. This top right here, we get the option to save login. We'll click save. Now it has saved the login for us. We'll click continue. Okay. We'll go ahead and skip this. All right. We will go to a basic account, and now we are inside of Zoom. Okay, that's fine. Let's look at a few things here. Go back to 1Password, and we see this Zoom account has been saved automatically, okay? Our first name, our last name, the website we're authenticating to, the recommended password, and the username, which is great. But now if we go ahead and log out of this, we can see how we will sign into something with 1Password, okay? So we'll just click sign in. It's just one click, okay? Now we're just going to click the suggested. It's going to go next. It's going to autofill password. Okay, we're going to go ahead and skip that, and we're in. Okay, we'll do it one more time here. Sign out and sign in. Okay, and we're good to go. All right. Now, again, That functionality is coming specifically from the extension. If the extension's not there, it won't work. Likewise, if we have the wrong website here, Zoom is .us instead of .com, we can see that we will no longer be prompted to sign in because 1Password can't detect what we're trying to sign in to. You see that's gone, okay? So we have to have the right website. Again, super important to have that website there. And then 1Password will go ahead and recommend our sign-in option there, okay? Now, last thing we want to look at here is how to add a multi-factor authentication code. Very, very important. We're going to kind of go ahead and see that here. I want to go through this manually because the QR code functionality, as far as when you're adding an OTP, doesn't necessarily always pick up. I want to make sure you know how to do it manually. So we're in Zoom here. We're going to turn on multi-factor authentication. Okay. Let's go ahead and utilize our password here. Okay, and then we're going to configure this authenticator app here. All right, we're going to authenticate there. Okay, all right. So now it did pick this up. Okay, so we can just click save, and you'll be good to go. You'll be good to go. That's how it should work most of the time. I want to show you how to do this in case that doesn't work. If that doesn't work, we'll go over here. We'll click edit. Okay, we're going to click add more. We're going to go to one-time password, and you'll always see an option for I can't scan this QR code. We're going to click that. We're going to copy this secret key, okay, and we're going to post this in and save. Okay, we're going to click next. We will authenticate there, and now we have that word, or that, excuse me, that OTP there. All right, and then we can also save this, do whatever we need to do there. I always recommend you can download these. Okay, you see they're there. We'll go back to Zoom, go to edit. We will go to another section, do something like backup codes. And we'll do a file, okay, and add those backup codes. All right, save. And now we have those backup codes added and done. All right, fantastic. We'll go ahead and authenticate one more time so you can see how that works. We'll sign in, okay. And then it'll also autofill the two-factor authentication code. I mean, you can't beat it. Okay, password is extremely secure. All of our codes are saved to where we need it to be. We have our backup information saved as far as backup codes go using multi-factor authentication, and it's all done in a semi-automated way for you. All right, so that's the overview on how to use 1Password. I hope the video helps. If you have any questions, you can email us at info@gentetech.com. Keep in mind, this is by no means exhaustive, especially if you're deploying the business version of 1Password. A lot more things that you can do with it, but this should get you started. If you have any questions, please drop them down in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you may, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.